Joining me today, once again, a man who wears many hats. He's the Chief Football Strategy Officer for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are now 1-0 to start the NFL season, the Vice Chairman and Director of Football Operations for Fulham FC, and the founder, co-owner, president, CEO, executive producer, and head booker of All Elite Wrestling, the one and only Mr. Tony Khan. Tony, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm very well. Thanks for having me on, Jason.
So before we start, there's one thing that I just wanted to give you credit for. I saw a tweet this weekend, and we don't have to go into the details about it because that's that person's business, but I just wanted to put you over because I saw the Fulham fan and what you did, and I thought that was really cool, and I think you deserve all the credit in the world for that.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, but it's really just about being a family and taking care of each other, so thanks for saying that. But, you know, just like you wouldn't have to thank somebody for trying to help out their friends and family. I mean, it's the least you can do. And thanks for saying that. But a lot of really great things going on. As you said, I am wearing a lot of hats. I love wearing the Fulham hat in the Premier League very, very much. I'm very proud of it. Also very proud to wear the Jaguars hat right now, 1-0. And I'm always happy to wear the AEW hat and very proud of what we do at All Elite Wrestling. And I know that's usually why you like to have me on, is to talk about the wrestling. So I do love talking about AEW and pro wrestling is with you as well. But thanks for saying that. There's a lot of great fans at Fulham and a lot of great people. And I'm very, very proud of what we do there. It's a family club. There's a number of us that have been there for a long time. And we have a great group of players, a great coach, and a great staff. And most of all, great supporters who make it possible for Fulham to keep powering in the Premier League and hopefully have another very good season at Fulham too.
And we will talk about AEW, obviously, but first, let's congratulate you on the Jags starting 1-0. It took a little longer than expected. There was a lightning delay. You guys played a long football game. Coach Cohen getting that first win, how important was that for him to set the tone?
That was awesome. I was really glad for Liam, and of course for the whole team. I was glad for every single person in the organization. If I'm going to be completely honest, the person I'm happiest for is my father, because I really know how bad he wanted it, and he worked so hard to make sure that we got the right people in these positions. And certainly I think he made great choices with Liam Cohen, James Gladstone. It's great to have Tony Baselli be a bigger part of the organization. He's really been a part of the organization since day one, and now even bigger part of that group. And it's just a great group of guys. I really like working with Liam and James and Tony, and of course my dad. And really, for the fans, you couldn't ask for a better head coach than Liam, and what a way to start his career as a head coach and to have his first ever win as a home game. As you said, it took longer than expected with a lightning delay, but it was worth the wait. It was definitely worth the wait. And I was really, really happy for the team, very happy for the defense, who played so well. And before and after the delay, they were fantastic and held our opponents to 10 points, which is great in the NFL to be able to do that. And also the offense did some great things. I'm really happy for them, very happy for all those guys, including Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne. They've been here for a long time. Great group of receivers. The offensive line was fantastic. For Trevor and the offensive line, they did not allow a single sack, which I know Liam was really, really excited about that. I think it's also only the second time that the Jaguars in the season opener have not allowed a sack, which is really cool, and definitely something we want to keep doing. So very, very proud of what the Jaguars are doing. Thanks for asking about that.
Yeah, you said your dad's excitement. I saw a tweet this morning that just said Shad Khan lit, and it was your dad giving the post-game speech with, I think, Coach Cohen. So
yeah, the wrestling is rubbing off on my dad, clearly.
It sure is.
Because I took the Terry Funk Forever speech, and then he took the Terry Funk Forever from me. So that's good.
Awesome.
Yeah, he went out there into the team, and he did the Terry Funk Forever. I thought it was awesome. What a great way to start the season.
Your alma mater, the University of Illinois, moving up to staying at number 9 with a big win. And then another big thing that happened this weekend, you attended a wedding. 2 of your employees got married. Very surprisingly packed, given what we know about what the groom on camera and his relationships with people. I'm assuming they were there for Alicia.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Alicia is a great person, and all the fan favorites wanted to be there to support Alicia. So we had a great group of people. You had a lot of fan favorites who were there to support Alicia, and also some of the rule breakers of AEW who were there behind Max. I tried to keep it pretty neutral, and I was there to support them both, but mostly Alicia.
And then Max came back on Collision. How big of a motivator is hate that a man has to leave his honeymoon to attack Mark Briscoe? Of all people, the most likable person in the world.
It's the most powerful motivator. It's our greatest natural resource. It drives a lot of people to do a lot of terrible things, but it is endlessly renewable. And it is something Max has a deep, deep, deep well of to go back to. So I do think that Max, who is absolutely a generational hater, was able to show up, skip his own honeymoon, and cost Mark Briscoe a TNT championship match. And on one hand, you could say it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander. One good turn deserves another and such. But I do think that the rivalry between MJF and Mark Briscoe is very intense, and a lot of exciting things happening in AEW going into All Out, also going into a great Wednesday Night Dynamite this week. It's a stacked lineup. It's going to be a great show, and we're just hours away from this week's Wednesday Night Dynamite. And you mentioned Collision. I thought that was an outstanding show. Start to finish, it's one of my favorite shows we've done. Coming back from the Jags game yesterday, I watched Collision again. One of my friends, my college roommate, came down for the game and was there watching the Jags, and then came over to my house after the game, and we were watching Collision because he had been on the plane coming to Jacksonville, and I had been at Collision, and then coming red-eyed back to Jacksonville and met him at the game. And we were watching Collision. We started it in the break between the afternoon games and the Sunday night game, and then we continued it during the halftime of the Sunday night game and watched the whole show and finished it after. And he was blown away by it too. I thought all the matches delivered, all the stories, and really there's so many exciting things happening going into this week, Wednesday Night Dynamite. The matches are really exciting. It's a great lineup on the show, and a lot of momentum in AEW going into All Out. And we've been doing All Out since our first year, since 2019. I think from January to September right now, this is the best stretch of wrestling we've ever had in AEW. We've had great support this year. We set our milestone for the most tickets we've ever sold here in North America. We went to England. We set the record in London's O2, the biggest arena in London. We actually put more wrestling fans in that arena than any wrestling show ever has before. So it's really, really been a great year for attendance. It's been a great year for our TV, and most importantly for the wrestling and the fans who love wrestling. We've been delivering great shows week in, week out, just like Collision this Saturday, and I think should be a great, great Dynamite this Wednesday.
You talking about Collision, one of the things that came out of it was who I think is your MVP this year, Timeless Toni Storm, the women's champion, setting up a match, Chris Statlander, who else was in Tekla, and Jamie Hayter, yes, sir. And then we'll talk about that, the growth of the women's division, the fact that all four of them are in the title picture right now, and just from last year to this year. I mean, it was a big critique, and I think you guys have definitely expanded, and as well as Mercedes Moné and her role in developing that division.
Well, it's the quality of the wrestlers. We happen to have the best women's wrestlers on the planet, in my opinion, right now. And when you look, you have to start with the champions. The world champion, Timeless Toni Storm, I completely agree with that. I think Toni's got a great case for being the MVP of this company. And Timeless Toni Storm delivers week in, week out, whether it's Wednesday Night Dynamite or Saturday Night Collision. We're always really glad to have Timeless Toni Storm on the shows. She's a big, big part of the company. I'm really, really a big believer in Toni and what she brings to AEW. She's the absolute epitome of a signature star for a promotion, and she's a great world champion. And now she's bit off, even for Toni, maybe more than she can chew, We all know Tony Storm's got a big mouth, but Tony Storm has bitten off a big fight here with Tekla, who is unbeaten in AEW and has really been butting heads in recent weeks with Tony Storm, as we've seen on Collision. Weeks in a row, collisions between Tekla and Timeless Tony Storm. And Tekla is unbeaten in AEW, so that is definitely a deserving contender. Then you have Chris Statlander, somebody that's on a roll, who recently picked up a big $100,000 win. John Moxley himself went to make sure the Young Bucks paid up, because that's where I've been budgeting some of this, taking it out of the money I don't have to pay the Young Bucks now and taking back some of their bonus money that is no longer guaranteed. And also, of course, Chris Statlander, a former TBS champion, has never held the world title. Chris hasn't had a shot at the world title in a long time. And for Chris to go out and really be, in my opinion, one of the best wrestlers in AEW, and then be in a match with the unbeaten Tekla and the world champion Timeless Tony Storm, it's already such a huge situation. But then also think about Jamie Hayter, the former world champion, somebody who absolutely has a case for why she should be in the title picture. And that is amazing. And this all came about through a series of fights and brawls and all this stuff that's been happening on Collision, all these wild matches and wild fights. Finally, Timeless Tony Storm's had enough, and she called her shot, and she is ready to fight all three of those women at All Out. Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter versus Tekla. Tekla and Jamie Hayter don't get along, by the way. They hate each other. In fact, I had to ban everyone from ringside to stop Jamie Hayter and some other great wrestlers as well from getting involved in this match. I mean, certainly Queen Aminata, no love lost with Tekla. Penelope Ford is always there to get involved when Megan Bayne is in a match. So I thought, let's keep everybody away from ringside during the match. But once the match was over, Jamie Hayter made her presence felt, just like she made her presence felt fighting Tekla in the backstage last week. Those two don't like each other. So to have Tekla and Jamie Hayter fighting in the same match, that's going to be crazy enough. You've got Chris Statlander, who also does not get along with Tekla or the Triangle, clearly, as we saw at Forbidden Door and in recent weeks, and put them in with the world champion in a world title fight. It's going to be a great match at All Out. I'm very excited. And I'm very excited for the Philly Street Fight this week on Wednesday Night Dynamite. It's just hours away. I reminded your friend Tim Battle of this earlier, and I would be remiss if I didn't remind Timeless Tony Storm that she's in a street fight with Sky Blue, somebody who has set a man on fire. And Sky Blue is a crazy fighter. I would not want to be on the other end of a Philly street fight with her. And Timeless Tony Storm, on the other hand, does want to, and she's put out the challenge. She wants to fight. That's going to be a wild match this week on Wednesday Night Dynamite. A lot of great things to look forward to there.
And another great thing to look forward to on Dynamite, the Bryan Danielson becoming a full-time commentator. How important was that to get him on a week-to-week basis again?
Huge. Bryan Danielson, I really wanted to be back in the mix. And my thought was, let's have Bryan be a commentator for Forbidden Door and see how that works. But I thought he would be the perfect choice to join the commentary team and add something big to that event. And he was a huge part of it. He was very additive. He was a tremendous commentator on Forbidden Door. And I felt like he could be a great host on Dynamite. We have a great analyst on Dynamite with Taz. We have a great analyst on Collision with Nigel McGuinness. I do think Bryan probably gets along better with Taz than with Nigel. I also think that it's very different perspectives in some ways, and also a lot of similarities in other ways between Bryan and Taz. And I thought they could make a really great pair at times. There's going to also be some times where Taz has some surgery because he had a very hard-hitting in-ring career. So he's still dealing with some of the after effects of the pro wrestling matches that he was a part of, some of the most hardcore, violent matches ever. And at times, if Taz has some surgeries, needs to get rehab for injuries, I think that it makes sense to have another great analyst there. But also people want to hear and see Bryan Danielson, and I think him and Taz can be great together at times too. So should be a great addition, in my opinion, a tremendous addition to Wednesday Night Dynamite to have Bryan Danielson on the team, doing commentary, hosting the show, and there to offer his insights. And he has a lot of them. He's one of the most insightful people, in my opinion, in the history of professional wrestling.
You talked about Taz, the recent shows at the 2300 Arena. You're a historian. I know there's the photo of you in the crowd during the ECW show. How important was it to do this string of shows there and to give Taz his due?
Very important to give Taz his due. In the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, and for fans all over the world, Taz is a legend. For me, the first time I went to see Taz wrestle in person was in the 2300 Arena, and that is pretty amazing to me that I had not set foot in the building for over 29 years until very recently. I was there when I was 13 years old, and I hadn't gone back until we brought AEW. And it's very cool to be there and to have some of the people who were involved back then be a big part of the show now. And first and foremost would be Taz, who is a legend of that building and a legend of wrestling. As you said, there is a photo out there of me as a 13-year-old in a very large Taz shirt. I weighed probably as a 13-year-old like 40 pounds more than I do now. So that shirt would be too big for me now, the one I wore 29 years ago, but it looks quite big in the photos as well. Man, Taz is a great person. He's a great father. He's a great athlete. He's a great host, and he's a big part of AEW. So that was the least I could do for him.
The upcoming pay-per-view, All Out Toronto, live at Scotiabank Arena. Two legends from Toronto are reunited, and they're gonna be part of that show. How excited are you to see the Cope and Christian, the reception they get from their hometown crowd?
Boy, am I excited about Cope and Christian together. I am really excited about that. I think that to have Adam Copeland and Christian Cage in the ring at the same time is a huge deal. But to have them teaming up, that is something really special. It's something I wanted to see again for years. Even when they were both in AEW and they didn't really get along in the ring, it was something I eventually really wanted to see and have happen. And I'm really glad that we're in a position now to have it. And certainly this rivalry has brought them together. We talk about the power of hate, and these two definitely were brought together in part by the animosity between FTR and Adam Copeland. And FTR and Adam Copeland had formed Rated FTR, a great trio. And when things did not work out for them, FTR betrayed Adam Copeland and tried to put him out of wrestling. And it's very fitting that the partner who's going to bring him back and the way they're reunited is Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Of course, we saw Adam Copeland come and help Christian Cage with his issues with the former patriarchy that he associated with Nick Wayne and, of course, Kip Sabian. And they've added Killswitch back into that group. And to see them participating together, to team together at Forbidden Door, I thought it was so cool. What a great way to start a great pay-per-view. It was a great moment. The crowd was so excited to see them back together. And I can only imagine the kind of reception they'll get teaming together in Toronto.
And All Out Toronto will air live on HBO Max for the first time.
It's absolutely true. All Out Toronto will be on HBO Max. It'll be our first pay-per-view we've done there. We have such a great relationship with Warner Brothers Discovery, and we're very blessed to have that. All Out will be available on HBO Max. And if you are a subscriber, you can get it at a great price. And if you don't have HBO Max, I highly recommend it. It's the greatest streaming service in the world with the best content, the best shows and movies you're going to get. And AEW is a part of it now. So it's a great deal. Also, we have, and it's pretty incredible here, with HBO Max pay-per-views, if you don't have HBO Max, first of all, you should sign up for it, in my personal opinion. But if you can't or don't want to, well, I'll keep trying to twist your arm and getting you to sign up for HBO Max. But there's a lot of great ways to also watch the pay-per-view. It's on cable and satellite carriers, Amazon Prime, YouTube. A lot of places are carrying it, but HBO Max is a fantastic service and will be a great place to watch it too.
And you could get the entire AEW library, The Sopranos, Friends, everything.
There's a lot of great stuff on there, and I've watched The Sopranos many times. I'll watch it many more times. So very cool to be on the same platform as Sopranos. Succession, the great Jesse Armstrong. Succession is one of the greatest shows of all time. Jesse Armstrong made a great movie that's up for an Emmy this year, which is Mountainhead. But Succession, also one of the greatest shows ever, along with Sopranos, and so many great shows on HBO Max. The Larry Sanders Show is one of my favorites. Curb Your Enthusiasm, some of the best shows ever. And also, we're very fortunate to carry AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite and Saturday Night Collision on HBO Max, and our pay-per-view shows now too.
The one and only Tony Khan, thank you for taking the time.
Oh, thank you for having me on. Hopefully I'll see you again soon.